Okay, so we've disassembled the bridle. We're now going to look at the cleaning part of this. So I'm going to get my sponge, rinse it and get it damp. Again, we don't want it to be soaking wet, just want to get it damp so that we can remove the dirt. Reason is we don't want to put too much water onto the leather strap. What water does is, even though it cleans it, if it penetrates into the leather and dries out, makes the leather become brittle and likely to then snap more easily. So again, being workmanlike, I'm just going through the sponge. You can see I'm just creating the sponge to go in half, and that way I can do the top and the bottom at the same time. And again, removing any of the muck. As you can imagine, this has quite close contact here over the head where sweat can happen. And at the same time, I'm looking for any distress, cracks, any loose stitching coming off the keepers or the throat lash that could be preventing it to be not safe to use. Once I've cleaned it, I'm going to use my cloth just to grab the excess water off the leather. That way I'm not letting it dry out the leather too quickly, and I can remove any of the excess water. So what I want to do is again place it over here so I know it's clean. I want to clean my sponge. As you can see already, the dirt and muck, if it shows on the camera, it's a bit more brown, which is a good sign because I'm picking up the muck. So I want to rinse that out, get the dirt off it, and again proceed to my next bit, which is the brow band. And again, just being workmanlike, going through the sponge in both hands like that, looking for any cracks, anything that could prevent. Sometimes you can get sort of dirt into the stitching around, so I just want to wipe that all out. Again, just get the sponge with the cloth to get any of the excess water off. Having a look, making sure there isn't any stitching coming undone or anything cracked, which is good. Place it to the left so I know it's clean. Again, repeat the process of cleaning the sponge out. Start with cheek pieces. Cheek pieces you have to be quite thorough with in the terms of checking for any damages. Reason being is this is actually holding the bit in the horse's mouth. And if there's anything that could potentially snap here, this is a bit where you don't want it to go wrong, because this is what helps you control the horse. And wouldn't be too fun experience if you suddenly have that snap with you. Again, going through, checking any cracks, cleaning and removing the excess water. Now that I've cleaned it, moving to the side, so I'm distinguishing my clean side and my dirt. I'm not getting it confused between what hasn't been treated. Again, rinsing the sponge out and starting again with the cheek pieces. Sometimes if you've got a lot of sweat on the leather, you can use a blunt knife or like a butter knife, and that way I can sometimes scrape the excess sweat that sometimes builds up and it goes a bit congealed, and that'll help remove it without damaging the leather. Again, hopefully we get to show you the water at the end of the session and we can compare what looks clean and dirty. Again, now I'm going to do the cavus and noseband. Again, don't have to worry too much about this, because sometimes I think the cavusing doesn't actually do anything for the horse in terms of helping you control it. It's there to make the horse look a little bit more prettier, and it breaks up the face a bit. So again, still you want to check, the buckles, stitching are still secure. But it doesn't really get as much hammer as, let's say, cheek pieces, the reins, and the martingale are a bit more closer contact to the horse there. Again, put it to the side so I know it's clean. Okay, coming to the reins now. Now, I want to clean the leather, and I also want to clean the rubber here. Again, remember, this is why we don't use the saddle soap sponge, because I wouldn't want to put saddle soap onto the reins. As you can imagine, I'm gripping onto the horse and suddenly it's sweating and raining, that becomes very slippy. These rubber bits will become very ineffective. That's why it's fine to clean it with the sponge that you're cleaning with, because all I'm trying to do is remove any dirt, muck that's been used on the horses. Checking the buckles here, because again, this bit is really key. Because if this was weak or any stitching was coming done, again, this is on contact with the horse's bit. And if your reins to snap, again, your reins provide you the steering and the control. And if they were to go, it'd make your life very difficult to stop the horse. So again, taking any of the excess water off with my cloth, checking over the stitching. And repeat the process for the next reins. These rubber bits are called rein stoppers, and they basically stop the ring of the, if it's a bib martingale or a running martingale, going over the rein buckle, which can impede on the horse's steering and movement. So you always need to have these on your reins. Again, quality of them, they should be not cracking and breaking. They're made out of rubber, so they're quite stretchy. But again, you need to have them, is basically what I'm saying. If you don't have a set of those on the reins, you need to report that and get some. Okay, so we're literally on the last bit of kit. And so this the bib martingale or the running martingale. The reason this is called a bib martingale, looks like a bib. Yeah. Again, bib martingales are quite commonly used in racing, stops the horse from grabbing the hold of the reins or playing with it or getting hold of it. It's a good bit of kit. You do see running martingales as well. What I'm going to do here is undo the buckle. This is where the neck strap is attached. It can be a bit stiff sometimes if it hasn't been open for a while. That's why it's important to regularly clean. Now this can get quite, like I said to you before, can get quite dirty because it's actually under the carriage of the chest of the horse and goes between the chest and belly. So a lot of sweat, a lot of kickback. Kickback refers to the horse in front of you kicking up muck or dirt when they're galloping. So if you're following a horse, things can get thrown onto that. So again, going through the process of cleaning it. Might be times where you might need to go and get your sponge and rinse it again a couple of times. That way you're not spreading the muck around onto different bits of the leather. Checking for stitching. And as I'm checking for stitching, I'm looking for any cracks here, checking the buckles. Again, there's quite a lot of dirt there, so I'm just going to rinse it. Again, try and be workmanlike. I'm using the table to my advantage. Again, get my cloth, wiping any of that excess water. It doesn't dry the leather out. Okay, so that's the cleaning part done. I now need to apply the saddle soap. To do that, I require a little bit of water, so just dab the water just gently so the sponge is just lightly wet. I'm not soaking it, just so that I can pick up the saddle soap. So again, I tend to do it in circular motion, so I'm picking it up It should sort of be kind of soapy looking, yeah? You don't want too much on the leather, you just want enough so that it's going to be absorbed into it without being too foamy. And again, just applying it all over the leather. And as you can see, it should look maybe on the camera a bit more shinier compared to the other bit of tack. And again, I'm just going to let that dry and absorb into the leather, go back to my sour soap, pick a bit more up. The sponge is still damp enough to pick that up. And again, going to start on the brow band where I left off. And again, it's always good to just separate them so you know what you've cleaned. Sour soap does feel, like I say, a bit sticky and slippery, and that's the reason why you wouldn't want that on your rubber reins. As you can imagine, that would be making it very difficult to hold on if you've got a strong, keen horse. Again, coming to the cavesson noseband. Pick up a little bit more of the soap. Now, orange reins, do not want to touch this area, but I do need to do the leather part. So again, going over the leather. Importantly, not going over on the rubber part. And lastly, the martingale, or the bib martingale, which is the biggest bit of leather. Checking again, just in case. It's always good to double check everything that you've gone through. That way you've been thorough. Particularly in racing, you'll be given a set of tack. That's your own set of tack. So it's your responsibility to look after your own kit and equally report if it's damaged and you need a new set of reins or leathers or anything like that. Okay, right, last bit. If you have a quick look at the water, so that's our bit, and that's our dirty water. So hopefully you can see on the camera the difference between what looks clean. You can see how much muck we've basically removed from the leather and taken it off, which is a good sign that we've cleaned it thoroughly, done a good job. Okay, so coming to the bits, so I'll just pull that out. And as you can see, you might be able to see in the camera, there's lots of bits of floating debris. Again, that's a good sign that it's been soaking. And what I tend to do here is I get my cloth that I've been using to dry to help remove any excess dirt that might be just needing to be removed. Again, going around the ring. Checking the bit's safe actually as well is important, any wear and tear. What I mean by wear and tear, you can see on the camera here where the rings go around. This over time can stretch and rub and stuff, and that can create cracks in the ring or where the ring follows through the bit, because the bit's actually hollow. So again, you're just checking that that isn't damaged or it's going to cause any problems. Again, it's important to clean that, because if we leave it not clean, you can imagine on a horse's mouth it's quite sensitive, cause rubs and sores, a bit of discomfort. So cleaning the bit will make that a bit more comfortable and pleasant for the animal. There we go. So that is the first or second stage in terms of the cleaning. We're going to, on part 3, we're going to look at how to reassemble that all back together.